At any rate, Bob Price is here. We only have him for a half hour today because
why?
Stuff to do.
Hangover.
I got important stuff and that. I'm with my friend Joe Coughlin, who, in addition to making some of the most delicious chicken in the history of
did you bring
chicken,
any, by the way?
Yeah, what's up with that?
We're not cooking yet. It's early.
Did you cook yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, nobody ever ate chicken the next day. God. It's fine.
So Joe makes great chicken at Coconut Joe's and other
fish and chips.
and fish and chips and some
Yeah,
and some
they're huge.
Various
And tri-tip.
meats and tri-tip. Yeah,
And the
yeah.
cake is awesome.
The cake is awesome,
And
the
they have
be-
good beans.
and the beans is
And their
my-
coleslaw is outrageous.
We got to stop talking about this. This is not going to
Salsa,
work
the
out.
tortillas.
I know what I'm doing in about an hour and a half when you open. And in addition to that, you have one of the greatest collections of Hawaiian shirts, which we need to do an entire show on that just some other time. But in addition to all those things, you also have this thing you have to explain to us, Coconut College. What is that?
Well, Coconut College really it's a life philosophy. Years ago, Chuck Swindoll had a thing that attitude is the most important thing in life, and it occurred to me real early on that attitude's not the most important thing in life. You can have a great attitude, about being in prison, but at the end of the day, you're still in prison. The goal is not to get into prison. Prison meaning a life that is not free, and so perspective really is the most important thing in life. What do you see life as? And so Coconut College is really built around that. It's built around the idea of life is one of two things. It's either stuff, which of course culturally we're taught to pour our lives into, or it's stories. And the stuff bucket is overflowing in our lives. We have 3 times the house than we did in the 50s when the Gallup pollsters tell us we were our happiest as a nation, by the way. We have 3 times the closet space, 3 times the garage space, still can't get the car in. We have a multi-billion-dollar self-storage industry to put all the rest of the too much stuff we can't fit in our too much house. And everybody's miserable. And so and the reason is because the stories bucket, what life's really all about, is empty. It's rattling emptiness. And we got to go.
Mine is chock full.
Well, yours
and
is.
George Martin's is chock fuller.
Yeah, but you're unique.
Thank you for that.
But how do you deliver this message? How does the college take shape?
Well, we speak to a lot of groups, and we're in churches and schools and universities and Rotaries. Anytime a gathering, a business meetings, etc., we'll go out, and oftentimes we'll do little snippets. It actually is like a 6-hour seminar. There's three types of. I don't want to be called a motivational speaker. There's 3 types of speeches. There's motivational speeches. There's inspirational speeches. That's not what we want to be, although we are that as well. But we want to be educational. We want to teach people something. That's why we give them a ton of stuff, and it's all graphically oriented, so they don't have to read. People don't have time to read. Don't give them a book. They don't have time to read.
It's entertaining too. I don't know who did your stuff, but you're a graphic artist yourself. Did you do a lot of this stuff?
It's all me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're-
Except for my little cartoon characters, I hired Ron Leishman to do those for me. But otherwise,
that's a career that you have.
A lot of people
might
don't-
have gone down.
A lot of people don't know I had an actual painting featured on A&E Biography.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Glenn Campbell. I did a painting of Glenn Campbell, and he.
That's right. You told me that story a long time ago.
Yeah,
That's a great
he had
story.
it
That's
on-
another show. We'll have to
That's
do.
another show.
Yeah,
Talk about graphics.
But
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
The Rhinestone Cowboy, dude.
Yeah.
I got to see that sometime.
I met him when I was 16, and then 40 years later, we met up again and went through and looked at the pictures that we had taken, each of us so much younger. And
Oh, wow, that must have been something.
He was laughing and just,
He still is a really cool dude.
He is literally the nicest. When I met him in Charlotte, North Carolina, before he went on stage, this was back when he was huge at the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour. He was numero uno in the country, and he welcomed me in, and he spent 30 minutes with me, and his people were saying, Glenn, you got to get him out of here. You got a show to do. But there was no sense of, hey, get this kid out of here.
Yeah, we throw people out of here every day.
I know. You'll be throwing me out in a minute.
We will.
Anyway, back to the
We got
back
off
to this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we just find that most people are living in the wrong place, doing the wrong work. Sometimes people think I'm saying the work is bad. No, the work's not bad, but the wrong work in the wrong amounts for the wrong goals is bad. And most people are doing just that. We're doing 60 hours, look what it's getting us. This is what I call our national report card. I tell young people when I speak to them, I say, hey, this is my generation. And I'm just telling you straight, but this is our national report card. We get an F, and here they're all little graphs. They're all pointing up. Heart disease up, obesity up, child abuse up, stress disorders up, anxiety disorders, alcohol abuse, school tragedies, caffeine addictions, latchkey kids, drug abuse, teen suicide, depression, divorce rate, road rage, and on and on and on. I tell
You're
people,
depressing the heck out of me here, Joe. And
Well, I tell
the only
people-
thing that will cure it is some good chicken.
Yeah.
By the way.
I was fine with all that till he mentioned caffeine. I was like, hey.
Yeah, I know. But I tell people, I say, if these were not graphs, but instead gauges on the instrument panel of an airplane, we would be in what aviators call a death spiral. And we're all on the airplane, and we've got to back up and we say, okay, what is life really all about? Again, we're all going to die, and we're all going to die with money in the bank. It's time we're going to run out of. We got to make sure that we understand that time is the treasure, and we got to live it out as we're going. Don't buy into that myth of the golden years. They're not the golden years. They're the olden years. You can put a G on the front if you want, but they're the olden years. We got to be living now.
So how do I break out of this thing? I mean, I got a mortgage payment, I got a car payment, I got college tuition to pay for.
Yeah, me too.
How do I bust out? Yeah, how do I bust out of that?
Well, the first thing you do is what we try to get people is to see life for what it really is, and not to buy into the default plan. The default plan says I call it the brave to grave plan. We start out brave. We got hopes and ambitions and dreams. We can change the world, but within a few short months of finishing our formal education, we go to stage 2. We go from brave to cave, and we cave to social pressures and parental expectations and the cultural message of earn and spend. And we go in and we find our little cave cubicles and we strap on our pot bellies and we go in for stage 3. We go from brave to cave to slave. 40 years.
You're almost like a rapper.
I am. I'm a rapper. I'm a rapper. And we go to stage 3, which is slave. 40 years of mind-numbing, soul-crushing work because we're often doing the wrong work. 87% of kids in college, when interviewed on why they picked their chosen profession, say money.
Yeah.
So we're doing the wrong work. So we go from brave to cave to slave, and then stage 4, save. I'm going to be retiring. I don't have any money. And now I'm really trying to crunch down. And before long, stage 5, we go from brave to cave to slave to save to wave. Goodbye. It's over. And we got to say, folks, wake up.
I knew that last thing was going to rhyme. I knew it. We got to take a break on that happy note. Stick around, and when we come back, we'll tell you how to plan out the rest of your life so you don't end up all miserable and eating cat food and all that. Unless you're into that, it's fine. We'll be right back. It's First Look. It's News Talk 1180 and the new 96.1 KERN.
Cat food.
We are back. Hey, we just have a few minutes left with Joe and Bob, and Joe brought a stack of books. Bob didn't bring anything.
I brought my Coconut College
Handout.
And your
Handout.
freshly pressed shirt. Way to go.
I had a
It's a good look for you.
Well, thank you so much.
Joe, what's up with the? I noticed you got your Malcolm Gladwell on, and you got your some Thoreau in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, I brought you, this is the book I'm handing out, and I bought a ton of them, so you get one.
All right, that's
And
fair.
Bob gets one.
Wow.
Awesome book, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It's the latest that we're pushing through Coconut College. And it really goes into the idea that we've privatized success in our culture. That look at me, the self-made man, the rags to riches story. And the book really, it's amazing. It goes through everything from the Beatles to Bill Gates to hockey players in Canada and explains that we are not we're not the reason that we succeeded solely. Yeah, hard work and dedication go into it, but we had to have a lot of happy accidents and undeserved good fortune and and the right parental legacies and cultural legacies and all that. And the reality is, it's the old story of the guy walking through the forest and seeing the turtle up on the tree stump. He doesn't know how the turtle got there, but he knows he didn't get there by himself. And none of us got where we are by ourselves, and we need to recognize that. And it's a great book about compassion for those that are not as fortunate. So that's a great book. But, I like books because the reality of it is, we're divided. We divide between right and left and conservative and Republican and liberal and, Democrat, all that, et cetera. But that's not how the world is divided. The world is divided only really between the learners and the non-learners. That's how the world's divided. And so I try to encourage people. This is the E-Myth. It's the #1 business book. I spent some time with Michael Gerber. I've also spent some time with Lou Holtz one-on-one and going over this little sticker, which I got from him. I use it at Coconut College. It's used around several universities. This is the Win sticker. I'll give you one to put on your computer, one for Bob.
Remind me to win.
What did Lou Holtz think of the fact
Win-
that it's all USC colors?
Yeah, I know.
You like that?
Yeah, USC stole my colors. But WIN stands for, and this is a life-changing question to put on your computer, because WIN stands for what's important now. So, when your daughter calls and says, can you come to my volleyball game? You look at that thing and you say, okay, what's important now? And that simple question asked at the right time throughout your life will make sure that the future Bob, the future Scott, is happy with the current Bob and the current Scott, because basically that's what you're doing. You're making decisions now that the future Scott.
This is like the Matrix, man.
Yeah, the future Scott's going to hold you accountable for the decisions that you made now. I mean, that's just the way it is.
But
And
I
so,
make my decisions based on not really having a future.
you and a whole bunch of other folks.
Never really an option. How do people now? Where is your campus? How much where do I pay my you got to pay your tuition and all that? How does one enroll in Coconut College?
People ask me sometimes when I'm out. I was at Laguna Beach last summer, and some guy came up and said, "Where?" Because I wear the Coconut College sweatshirt and stuff like that. He said, "Where is Coconut College?" I said, "It's inside your head. That's where it is. That's the campus. It's inside your head, because it's in your head from where everything, your perspective of life drives everything in life." And most people have never sat down and even asked themselves, what do I believe about life? You know, we spend more time planning a Super Bowl party than we do planning our lives. It's crazy. You know, this is our one shot. We got to get it right. So,
It's a good point.
yeah, and seminars coming up in the spring of next year. We're going to do a big. We'll take a full page ad out and push Coconut College.
Works. That works. So, do you have these like Leadership Bakersfield? Where do you have them?
I have spoken at Leadership Bakersfield. It was a great opportunity to share what leadership really is, and I made the case that most of us are not leaders. We call ourselves leaders, but we're really followers. You know, again, my Rollo May quote we talked about a few moments ago. Rollo May said that the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice; it's conformity. And most of us just conform.
Everybody, yes.
Yeah.
Easy. The path of least resistance, man.
Yeah, we
Do
take
what
the
everybody else
default
is doing.
plan. Yep. And then we pass it off to our kids, and our kids are going, "Hey, they've been on the front lines. They've seen the carnage, you know," and they're going, "I don't know if I."
And there's pushback. If you tell your kids, you know, do whatever you don't have to be like everybody else. You don't have to conform. You don't have to be part of one of these cliques. Man, there's a downside to that for kids these days, because the conformist crowd, they hate that when somebody gets out of the herd, man. They don't do well with that.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into this? How did this get started?
Weed.
I think it started, you know, as we were talking during the break, I recognized for some reason very early on that life was about time, that time was the treasure, and I didn't work a summer till I was 30 years old. I made sure that I was going to be off. I would have a job during the winter, and I'd walk in and say, "I quit." And the boss would say, "Well, why?" And I said, "Because it's summer." I recognized that the treasure was the fact that I had no responsibility. I had the time. I had my youth. I had my energy. I had my passion. And baby, when you have those things, you got to cash them in. Do not buy the lie again of retirement. You know, and so it really started there. The Henry David Thoreau quote we talked about at the break. You know, the mass of men live lives of quiet desperation. And when I heard that at 16 from Henry David Thoreau, I thought, golly, is that true? And I looked around on my block back in Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., and I looked through all the houses and all the men that I would see get up with their gray suits and go and catch the bus into Washington, and I realized, I believe it is true. I believe it is true. And I decided then that I wasn't going to live a life of quiet desperation, that I was going to cash it in, and I was going to write stories. That's what we encourage people with Coconut College. You are a story. Your life is a movie, and you should see it as such. And when you go to the movies, it's not random scenes up there. You got an hour and a half in those seats. Every scene you're seeing on that screen is there to tell the story, whether you realize it in the moment or not. And yet, we live our lives randomly. We live here because we got a deal in the house. We took this job because it was the first recruiter in college that asked me. And we literally roll through life never having put it together into a story that is going to end with, you know, this meaningful ending.
You know, even your Coconut Joe's, your restaurant and your catering thing. I mean, you've sort of weaved a story around that. I mean, there's such a strong theme. You walk into Coconut Joe's and it's fun. It's fun. You got surfboards on the wall, and you've written a story for us. And then at the your catering place, same kind of deal. I feel like
over the
Gilligan's
banquet hall
Island or something.
Yeah, we've had a ton of fun, and I love, and I do this quite often, sitting down with customers. I've had customers come up, and one fellow came up to me recently and said, "Hey, I want you to know I quit my job." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "You know, after talking to you, I quit my job." And he says, "I got a job, it pays less, but I have a lot more time to be with my kids. And thank you so much." So, you know what? That makes it all worthwhile to me.
You're basically Peter Gibbons. That's what you are from Office Space. It seems to be working. Joe, thanks for coming down today, man. Come back when you can. We need to do a longer version of this sometime.
Yeah, be fun.
And let me know whatever to enroll. And Bob said he'd write a check for my tuition. I want to be enrolled in this deal. Do you have a master's program?
Yes, we do.
Okay, because I'm 50. I honestly think I'm ready for that. Thank you guys both for coming. Bob, I know you got a meeting to go to, and I'm sorry about that. I was looking for that all day. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. It's the First Look program. It's News Talk 1180. And the new 96.1. We're in FM now. How about that? And you can watch us on the internet at bakersfield.com. I highly recommend that. We'll go take a break. I'm about to watch two guys get in a fight with I haven't seen that. And so, Joe, is there somebody like a number you could call to enroll?
We'll put it out in the paper when it's due.
You can get a T-shirt.
Yep,
We'll be right
T-shirt.
back. It's First Look program. News Talk 1180, the new 96.1 KERN.
BSW